Small theaters are where I felt like that's where I come from, and that's kind of still the smaller stages, the more intimate houses are still my favorite places to make theater. And I mean, if especially with something like Case, which is two guys in a cubicle, very intimate. It's almost like a play as conversation in a certain way. And so I think that lends itself to these smaller spaces. And really, when I wrote Case for the Existence of God in particular, I really wanted to write a play that you could do with full integrity in your living room. I think with a play like A Case for the Existence of God, there's a lot of different things an audience can take out of it. But if there is one kind of umbrella thing, I think that one of the reasons I wrote this play is because I feel like we're living in deeply cynical times. And I think ever since I became a dad 6 years ago, I've really kind of leaned into this idea that cynicism is pretty intellectually bankrupt when it comes to the end of the day. I mean, the easiest thing in the world is to say we're all going to hell, like the world is falling apart. And so I think the challenge of A Case for the Existence of God for the audience is to have a kind of complicated hope about the history and to find the ways. And I don't think there are any easy answers in the play, and I don't think the play has any sort of like, trite slogans about hope and love and community or whatever. But I do think it introduces the idea that we do have a future ahead of us in the same way that I, as a parent of a 6-year-old, I have to believe that there's a future because my kid is going to be the one that encounters that future, ultimately, not me. Even the people we disagree with most in our lives, everybody is doing their version of the good. And everybody is trying to do what they think is best, what they think ultimately will result in the best for everybody. And that is what makes the greatest tragedies, right? I mean, this is not to be pretentious, but I mean, like, Hegel's definition of tragedy is two noble forces that can't coexist. It's not a good guy and a bad guy, and the bad guy wins. And I think we need to be able to look at our modern life more as these like noble forces that are just in opposition to one another, but everybody's trying to do right. And once I think we understand how people we might vehemently disagree with, how people who I vehemently disagree with are still doing their version of right, their version of good, then there can actually be forward movement and conversation. I think it's kind of, as the father to a 6-year-old right now, it's my job to be an optimist. And I don't want to be a kind of blind, simplistic optimist, but because I think like actual optimism requires a lot of work and a lot of faith and a lot of hope. And it's going back to my earlier point, cynicism is so easy. Optimism is really hard. But I think like the plays that I put out there, I don't want them to let the audience feel like they just sat in the dark for 90 minutes so we can all contemplate our demise or contemplate, the sort of like next level of hell that we're headed toward. I don't see the point in that. The only questions that sometimes I get uncomfortable with about my plays are questions like, well, what are you saying with the play? Like what should audiences know about what you're saying with this play? And I always feel like the play is a 90-minute response to that question of what I'm trying to say and what I'm interested in talking about and what, the discussion should be, and sometimes I feel like if a play can be watered down to 2 sentences of what the play is saying or what the play is doing, then maybe it shouldn't have been a play. Like maybe you didn't need 15,000 words to express something that you could express in 3 sentences.